In this video, we are going to 3 different antique malls that have a bunch of little booths in them in search of video games. So let's head out there and see what we can find at all these places. The first place that I walked into was a place that I haven't been to in a very long time. I wandered around and honestly didn't find much until I found a few loose disc games right here. Nothing honestly that caught my eye, a bunch of sports games that honestly I'm gonna pass on for sure. Then I saw this green case and hoped it was something else, but again, another sports game, so I continued on through this antique mall and didn't really find all that much until from the far away I saw this hat, which was an NES controller hat from Nintendo, but they wanted $22 for this and it was used. So I passed on that and it just wasn't worth it. Even though this first place was kind of a bummer, the next two should at least have some stuff worth picking up because they've been consistent in the past. So let's head to the second place and see if we can find anything. Heading into the second antique mall, I definitely had higher hopes because this one has a bunch of booths and tends to have a bunch of video game related stuff. First thing that I found was this Goomba pin, which was actually pretty cool. As well as on the opposite side of this booth was a few enamel pins that actually caught my eye that I thought about grabbing. However, I didn't end up grabbing any this time. Sometimes I do. Then I continued on where I ended up finding a few Kingdom Hearts figures that were pretty interesting looking, as well as this Squishmallow Pikachu, but they wanted $67, which is way too much. And in the booth next to this, they actually had more Squishmallows and Pokemon related things that were definitely worth looking at. I ended up finding a few games in this booth, like this Wall-E for the Xbox 360 and Sonic the Hedgehog. I almost picked this up, but it was a little bit too expensive. Then on the bottom of the ground, they had a few Game Informers, which I always like to look for other game-related stuff, so I had to look through this bin. Kept going where I ended up finding this Halo sword. It was on sale and I almost picked this up, but honestly, I don't need it and it would just take up space in the game room. So I continued on where I found some Roblox figures, but for $10, not worth picking up. This glass booth case thing had a few games in it and I almost got that Super Mario Bros. For the DS, but I ended up forgetting about it. Next booth ended up actually having a bunch of Xbox 360 games, which I was kind of definitely interested in. And then I ended up finding Skate 2 for a really good price. So we'll talk about me picking this up in a little bit, but nothing else here really caught my eye. And when I was leaving this booth, I ended up finding this little Pokemon book and thought it was really interesting. And when I picked it up, there's 2 Build-A-Bear Pokemon right there. And when I went to leave, I noticed this was 40% off of this booth. So this was a crazy haul here. Then I found some Mario Legos. Went to the booth where they always have overpriced game consoles. A Nintendo Wii here for $135. This is probably worth like $90 to $100 to be honest with you. And last time I was here, you guys told me I had to check out BlazBlue, so I ended up picking it up. It was only $5. I definitely am interested in playing this thanks to you guys. This place ended up being a really good deal. I've got everything that I picked up here. Now, I will say some of this was on sale, which is totally awesome. The Pikachu plush and the Eevee plush were both marked at $17. However, they were 40% off, which means I only spent $10.20 on each one of those, as well as the Skate 2 was on sale. It was marked for $8.99, and I ended up paying $5.40 for this, which is definitely well worth picking up. And then, last but not least, was BlazBlue, which was not on sale, actually. It was $5, $4.99, so for this, I had to pick it up. I've talked about it before on the channel when I've gone here, and you guys have said that it was fun, so for $5, I've got to pick it up and try it out. So let's go to the third place and see if we can find more stuff to pick up. Heading into the last antique mall, I definitely think we're going to find some good stuff because right off the bat, I ended up finding a bunch of games just right inside the door here. There's a few Xbox One sports games that I'm not really interested in, Halo 4 for the Xbox 360, and a few Xbox 360 Connect games right here. Then I continued on walking down the Antique Mall Hall, where I ended up finding this Rainbow Six game for just kind of loose disc, as well as this Guitar Hero guitar, but for $25, I'm going to leave this behind. I saw this green Luigi hat from afar, and it looked like it was kind of old, but might have been like handmade. Then in the next booth, I ended up finding the Mario Cappy white cap from the Super Mario Odyssey, which it didn't have a price tag on, so I continued on, where I checked out the glass case that didn't really have anything that I had to have, so I ended up searching through this box of games here as well. There was a few good titles, but they were all titles that I already had in my game collection, so I headed over to the Nintendo 64 section, where I found Toy Story 2 for $10, as well as Wave Race 64 for $5. Absolutely great deals there. And I checked out the NES games a little bit, where I ended up finding Blades of Steel for the NES for only $2. This is an amazing deal. Absolutely worth picking up. A great game. I absolutely love it. Then I found a few Star Wars Battlefront games here. $3 each for the PlayStation 3. Had to pick these up. I'll probably throw them in a bundle, as well as these Guitar Hero games for $1 to $2. We got Donkey Kong Country Returns and this Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, but I did end up passing on these two. And while I was looking around, I saw the Xbox 360 section, where I found more Guitar Hero games for only $3 and $1. So I had to pick them up. This is where the expensive games are. They're all still there. And then I found a few loose discs here, but honestly, nothing that I had to pick up, unfortunately. It looks like I saved the best for last, because there was a bunch of awesome stuff from this antique mall that I definitely think was well worth it. We've got a ton of games here in this bag, and we've got to talk about it. First off, Nintendo 64 games for $5 for Wave Race and $10 for Toy Story 2 was an absolutely crazy deal. I just had to pick these up, as well as Blades of Steel for the NES for only $2. I know this game isn't worth much, but I couldn't pass up for $2. I'll probably throw this into a bundle, and it will be well worth it there. They had a ton of games there behind the glass case, where I ended up finding 4 PlayStation 2 games. I know in the video I said PlayStation 3, but forgive me, they are PlayStation 2 games. We've got Guitar Hero 2 for only $2, and I believe that this one is complete, which is absolutely crazy. For only $2, I could not pass that up, as well as Guitar Hero 3 for only $1. And guess what? It looks like it is complete as well, which is totally cool there. Couldn't pass those up. And then Star Wars Battlefront 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 2, both for $3. And I believe these are just the disc. Yeah, they are. So for $3 each, these are probably worth $10 to $12. Definitely gonna bundle most of these games, probably with other consoles that I'm trying to sell. And then I've got 2 Guitar Hero 3 games for the Xbox 360. One marked at $3 and it is complete, and one marked at $1 and it is also complete. So $4 for 2 of these games, absolutely well worth it. This stop is probably the best antique mall in my area. I go there maybe every few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, because they have good stuff, but I don't like to go there every week because sometimes I just don't want to waste my time there. However, this was some great stuff from this one. There we have it. These 3 antique malls really got us some good stuff. We got some Pokemon plushes from Build-A-Bear, and a ton of awesome games, whether it's for the PlayStation 2, the Xbox 360, the NES, or the Nintendo 64. There are just a ton of games at my local antique mall, so I love to frequent them. But I'm going to get out of here, probably clean up some of these games, and then test to make sure everything works. But if you want to check that video out because you haven't seen it already, go check it out. I think you'll definitely enjoy it. However, these 3 antique malls ended up being pretty good. The first one, not so much, but the second 2 actually made up for it. So it was okay that it ended up being a bust, but I'm getting out of here. Comment down below if you liked anything or want to see anything in the future. Let me know, but I'm getting out of here, so check out that video if you haven't already.